This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Linda's firm conviction is that we all have the power to create an amazing life. Her work is for anyone who dreams of something better and wants a path to move to the next stage in life. Her book guides you step by step with a process, tools, and action plans to create your unique, extraordinary life. It inspires you with stories of those who have succeeded and enables you to tap into the wisdom and creativity of your subconscious. A vision is a bold, vivid picture in your mind, fueled by emotion and all your five senses. A compelling, positive, personal vision describes the deepest yearning of your heart and draws you toward that future. Valeria interviews Linda Hogan. She is the author of Envision Your Extraordinary Life, Living Happy, Joyous, and Free. Linda Hogan has more than 35 years' experience leading strategic learning and business performance improvement in Fortune 100 companies, and in coaching individuals to create and implement a compelling vision for success. She uses a proven process to achieve results for both individuals and organizations. Hogan has an MS in Management and Organizational Development and is a Certified Performance Technologist. She enjoys traveling around the world with her amazing husband, Bill, laughing with her daughters, Sarah and Anna, and friends, seeing live theater, and running with her dog. Linda drinks fabulously strong coffee, sees Emmy Lou Harris in concert every chance she gets, and enjoys fine dining prepared by her chef husband, Bill, at their home in Virginia. She is grateful for her life exactly as it is right now. Her journey began as a social worker and corporate learning leader, where she developed a systematic approach to improving learning and performance. Over 30 years ago, she began leading monthly workshops for women using guided imagery and goal setting. Their hearts opened, they discovered dreams long buried, they set goals, they shared their feelings, and they held each other accountable. They were all amazed at the transformation in their lives. She had to write this stuff down. Linda researched goal setting and guided imagery and designed a spiritual and systematic process built on the evidence. She drew from her experience leading learning in Fortune 100 companies, where she improved the performance of individuals, teams, and companies, helping employees find meaning in soul-satisfying work, and helping companies save millions of dollars. The process works. Meet Linda at envisionyourlife.coach. Here's the interview with Linda Hogan.
In your own words, who is Linda Hogan as of now?
Thank you for asking. Linda Hogan is an author who recently published a book called Envision Your Extraordinary Life. And I work with people to help them to envision a life beyond their wildest dreams, to listen to that still small voice, to use guided imagery and visualization to become their ideal selves, or what they think God's ideal is of them.
Wow. That's such a beautiful vision in itself, listening to you just now. So what would that be for you, Linda, this ideal dream or extraordinary life? What does it look like from your perspective?
For me personally, my ideal life is developing deeper and more meaningful relationships with my husband, my two daughters, loving, laughing, having fun, developing deeper relationships with my friends. It's traveling all over the world and exploring new peoples and cultures, foods and places. It is running and being healthy, being joyful, being spiritual, connected to my higher power.
Yes. Wow. It's a beautiful list to go through, kind of checking every day, looking at it every day. With that in mind, we talked about this off record. How do we keep this beautiful vision for what we want to become or to be, but at the same time, stay present with what is present, stay here?
Well, I tell myself this or something better. So the balance, I believe, is in keeping that vision in front of me with a vision board and with seeing it in my mind's eye, what I want to create, and then saying this or something better, because often my higher power has something even better than what I have dreamt of myself, and that the way things unfold, always in the right time, with the right people, in the right place. And so I believe that, and do focus, try to focus in the moment.
Yes, right. I mean, it has been one of my practices to be in acceptance of what is happening. But this is I guess it's very different from the perspective of somebody who is going through, let's say, domestic abuse or addiction, mental health issues. How can we be present to those kind of states of being, of life, of mind? So I love the idea of having a vision, right? It's not, in a way, it's not rejecting what is happening. It's being open enough to let other possibilities in. I guess that's what I hear when I listen to you.
Yes, it is letting other possibilities in. We're often limited by our current events and situations. So if someone is going through domestic abuse or addictions, there's the accepting that this is true, this is what is really happening, and then seeing other possibilities, more freeing possibilities. And we often can't change the things around us,
Right.
but we can change ourselves and our attitudes. And with domestic abuse, I think the serenity prayer is a good one here. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Wow. And that kind of makes me reflect about life itself, like being just appearing in a way here. The very, let's say, open mind, but immature at the same time, and kind of taking everything in without questioning. But at some point, we ended up questioning what's happening. And that's when it changed everything. It has been my experience with emotional and physical abuse as a child. Just not understanding what I was doing here. And I guess that's why I became very interested in spirituality, because to me, it had to have some sort of roots in the spiritual world, because the mind, the logical mind, could not explain this idea, or actually the fact that children, innocent children, are abused and even killed, animals and all that. I had to make sense of that.
That's hard to make sense of.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Right.
There is
Right.
no making sense of it. It's only looking at yourself and somehow grasping that you are lovable and loved and powerful in your own way, despite those things that happened, or maybe even because of them.
Ah, yes. So, gosh, I have contemplated it all of that,
I'm sure
all
you
those spaces. Oh my
have.
God, Linda, I've been everywhere, looking for healing and understanding knowledge, especially spiritual knowledge, but also social. I mean, I came across the idea of ancestor and collective trauma that we all
Yes.
carry that and we pass it on, right? Those kind of pains to others. So now it has become a lot more freeing. I love that word that you used in the sense of kind of being with whatever happened as a memory and not trying to reject what happened, just let it be there. And not as a reference either. Or I guess I have used it as a reference of not wanting to act, or think from that perspective of causing other people's suffering without any understanding of fundamental truth. One of which is a big one for me, that everything is connected. We are not disconnected from one another. So how can you hurt others when you know that? So I guess that really informed pretty much half.
Well, those are some deep wounds. And many of us in that kind of experience tend to resent it or be constantly trying to change the past. And I've been told that you've reached some state of healing when you're no longer trying to change the past.
Yes, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's has been one of the biggest, let's say, milestones for me. Forgiveness, acceptance. Yes, just letting it be. But we talked before we had a conversation before in the first interview about your book, Envision Your Extraordinary Life, Living Happy, Joyous, and Free. And let me introduce yourself too, as it's the labels, strategic learning and business performance improvement and coach. So I guess the question for those who don't know you, how did you came to be or became the person that you are today? Or how did you uncover her?
Well, that's a big question.
Yes. Yes, it is. It is. It is. It
Uh,
is.
well, I think that discovering my own addiction to alcohol, my own alcoholism, was a great starting place for me. I reached a point when I was 28 years old that I just hated myself. And I had been drinking every day for 10 years and not always getting drunk. But the fact was, I couldn't predict when I would get drunk. And if I got drunk, what I would do, what would happen. And I started in recovery and I stopped drinking and worked on myself with the help of a lot of other people. And after a couple of years, I invited a group of women into my living room and we met once a month to create a vision of what we wanted to become. We set goals, we supported one another, our hearts opened and our dreams soared. And we had created lives that were beyond our wildest expectations. In witnessing the growth of the other women, I wondered, how does guided imagery help them? Because what I'd been doing is in each of these sessions is leading them through a process where they close their eyes, and I led them through a scenario of their future, or it could just be a scenario of they're at the beach and listening to the waves and relaxing. And women who couldn't come up with two dreams came up with amazing dreams. And I think I talked about Carolyn before, and that she went from being a school administrator to remembering that she'd always wanted to be an interior designer. And she went on to become an interior designer for 20 years, and now has a bed and breakfast in upstate New York, and has a remarkable life. So that process really helped me to grow. And at the same time, I was working in a corporation, or in corporations. I was a consultant to businesses, helping them set goals. And so goal setting, guided imagery, and visualization became really important to me. And I've learned so much by studying the research of what makes these work, so that I can use those tools and help my clients use those tools so that they can create the life that they want, deeper, more loving relationships, become powerful at work, and become promoted, make more money, just to have more abundance in all areas of life, and to feel the confidence and the inner power to navigate the world easily and lovingly and joyfully.
Wow. It sounds wonderful to me, the process. And it feels like a lot of healing is being done throughout the process as well of visualization and guided imagery. This is actually a question for you, in a way, within the question that I will ask you now. Did you find out the cause for drinking? That's, I guess, my main question about that.
The cause for drinking. I believe that it's an addiction. Now, I started drinking when I was 13, and for women and children, the disease takes place more rapidly. So there reaches a point where you cannot go back. And they say you become pickled, and so you can't become a pickle can't become a cucumber
Right.
again.
Yes, I have heard that before.
And so,
Mm,
a lot of the
yeah.
I had a lot of the disease symptoms, I guess you could say, as well as the physical addiction. And so some of the more emotional reasons, not feeling good enough, just being restless and irritable until I had a drink that would make me feel comfortable, not feeling comfortable in my own skin.
Wow. That's a big one. I've noticed that with a lot of people. It has not been my case. Or who knows? Maybe it was the case even prior to the emotional and physical abuse that I went through. But I didn't go to alcohol, but I went to other things like fitness, getting too obsessed with not being thin, but being healthy. And there became an obsession. Then relationships, which of course they were based on this not feeling loved. So I needed somebody to validate that. And then like giving myself too much to them in the expectation that they would love me enough or love me back. So that is a form of addiction, isn't it, Linda?
Well, it could be. You were a world-class bodybuilder, weren't you?
Yes, I did professional bodybuilding. I guess it was a category of that. Fitness, they call it fitness, some sort of federation, WBFF. So it is fitness, close to bodybuilding, but not as not exactly.
Okay.
So I felt like that I was driven by some sort of obsession of looking good and being healthy all the time. So I would get the approval of others. It was always about that, which you said that beautifully in your book. I just read about the ego. Oh, I love that message. It just made so much sense to me. Yeah, you said, oh, if I can find it now. Yes, you said in the book, under the story about women with vision, happy, joyous,
Yes.
and free, the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
you say, part of that said, while realizing our vision, we all experienced the 4 paradoxes of recovery. Our ego died so we could live. We let go to have power. We suffered to get well, and we surrendered to win.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of resonated with me immediately. That's from a spiritual perspective. Yes, living for something outside of us. I have to go back to that phrase. It doesn't make sense, not anymore to me. So it's living for my inner world. What drives me from the inside out? That's what really kind of attracts me these days. Not just these days, but for years now. So, talk to me about this process of letting the ego die.
Well, we say that the ego stands for edging God out. And so the ego is always there, and the ego does great work in terms of making decisions and perhaps some types of linear planning. But there's so much more to us. If we can access our higher power, if we can access our subconscious, then we are even more powerful. Our ego always wants to be the center stage.
Yes. Yes.
It's all
Yes.
about us.
Right. Right.
and
Right.
and so it's really letting go of that and on a daily basis.
Yeah. Right, Linda.
So
Yeah. It's a
this
practice.
isn't this isn't a one-time thing, at least not for me. And to be able to focus more on God and on higher level things. Every day, I ask my ego to step aside.
Yes. Good. Yeah.
So it's a nice way. So I actually see in my mind kind of just letting the ego um, move over and letting God in. And that's how I approach it.
Yes. I guess I have different language for that, but it's the same. It's the same idea. What is your understanding of God, Linda?
I believe that God is love, and that I read in a Richard Rohr article the other day that someone said she is of the how did she put it, of the Christ movement, I guess, but doesn't consider herself a Christian because she's open to all faiths. Uh, I identify most with being Christian, but I also believe, that all religions end up in the same place.
Yes.
Buddhist, Hindu, all religions, and that it's a place of love.
Yes. Yeah. That really resonates true to me, right? In the end, it's what Jesus said about loving the other as you love yourself.
Right.
Something like that, right? That's one of the most powerful messages that we can hear. But how simple is that? It really sounds simple to me when we are in the heart, because that's what the heart wants to do, only to love. Although I have heard some interesting things about the heart. My sister, she's a Christian, and she talked to me the other day about that the heart has dark secrets, so we need to be careful to following the desires of the heart. That's a message in the Bible. And then it kind of got me to stop and reflect that. Like, I'd never heard about, I didn't know
I never
that.
heard that.
Oh, I didn't? Okay.
No,
So I don't know
I
what
never
she
heard
came
that.
with that idea. Yeah, about the desires of the heart. And that was not the first time I heard that, actually. Another friend of mine in Brazil, one of my best friends, she said the same thing. She's a Christian. So I'm wondering if they're interpreting the Bible differently, because that happens, right? Very much.
Yeah, I tend to interpret the Bible in a more mystical way, and not in a literal way. So, yeah, the Buddhists pray to have an open heart. And to me, it means open with love. So, maybe someplace in us we have negative ideas, and but
Right.
where it comes from,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, right. Yeah, I feel the same way. The heart cannot make mistakes. It can't. It's just, it only wants to love. That's my understanding. So it seems like you and I resonate. Right?
Yes.
Being in
Yes.
love with life. So the main topic of our conversation, as I mentioned earlier, is the power of visualization and guided imagery. So let's get to it. I guess my first question, one that I mentioned off record as well, is the difference between guided imagery and meditation. That's the first one. And then talk to me about the powerful results that you have seen and the studies and everything. How does it work? And then after that, Linda, I know it's way too many things now. I would love to, for the demonstration of that, I guess that would be a good time to do that too. But yes, I guess I asked too many questions, 3 in 1.
Oh, your questions are very stimulating and wonderful. So the difference between meditation and guided imagery. There are a lot of different definitions of meditation, or a lot of different ways of approaching meditation. I learned meditation to have a sound that I repeated over and over, and focusing on that. Someone else might focus on a candle. Someone else might just have perhaps a prayer, or contemplate love. So I believe that it's designed to help stop the chatter in our minds, and to go to a deeper spiritual place where we can feel and experience a connection of oneness. If we go deep enough in guided imagery, it is more helping someone else to create a picture, a scenario in their mind that involves all the senses. So it's guided, as it says. So you're not focusing on nothingness, or a sound, or a picture. However, you're going on a little bit of a journey,
Right.
let's say.
Yeah.
And why don't we try the practice now?
Yes, that'll be fun.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is for your listeners. If you're not driving,
Yeah, that's a good advice.
you can do this.
Yeah.
So It's just this little experiment. Close your eyes and put both arms out in front of you. And if you would, imagine on your right hand that there is a big, heavy book. And now add a couple more heavy hardcover books. Add a couple more.
The arms going down.
Yes. And now on your left hand, imagine that you have a string around your wrist, and attached to that string is a bundle of helium balloons that are just going up to the ceiling or up to the sky. And now you can open your eyes and look at the placement of your hands. Are they even?
No, the left one is higher and the right one's much, much lower. Wow. Yes. It's heavy. It feels heavier too.
Yes. And so what this demonstrates is what research has shown is that the mind doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and actually performing the task. In the sports world, this type of mental rehearsal or mental practice, they call this, the term is functional equivalence, and it means that your mind doesn't know the difference between practicing and what's actually in your and just seeing it in your mind. So the research has shown, after many, many, many years, that this type of visualization or guided imagery, and so visualization is just seeing the picture in your mind now. So you could visualize the heavy books and the balloons without my talking you through it. That's just visualization. And it's impactful in creating your own life, in sports performance, in a wellness, spiritual, mental health, leadership, and improving relationships in all those areas. And so in each of those areas, I could give you an example, hopefully, and I could give you some of the research.
Yes, please, Linda.
Are you curious about any of those areas in particular?
Oh my God, yeah. I thought he would never ask that question. Yes, of course, spiritual caught my attention immediately, so I had to read that. So I made some notes here. And also mental health. And another one that caught my attention was about your brother-in-law, Lou. That caught my attention. So I would love to hear his story. My audience would appreciate that too.
Okay, I'll tell that one.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So this is in wellness, and imagery has been used in helping wellness since the dawn of time. Okay. More recently, though, in the 60s and 70s, people like Bernie Spiegel. No, I'm not saying his name right. Have helped people become healthy. My brother-in-law found out that he had throat cancer. And my sister went with him to the doctor to see about having this lump removed. And the doctor said, this can't be removed. It's like a cauliflower that's kind of attached to everything else. And so it would mean it's too big. And my brother-in-law has a a great attitude. He did not flinch. He told
Yes.
everyone that the good news is I don't need surgery.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the
Yeah.
doctor's telling my sister, you better get help him to get his affairs in order because this is stage 4 cancer and it does not look good at all. And he decided on a regimen. He's a healthy guy in his 30s, decided on a really aggressive approach to chemotherapy and radiation. And the day before he was to go in for his first chemotherapy, his bowling buddy said, hey, he had had some type of cancer and he just imagined that it was like Star Wars, where he could just flash the wand and zap the 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 cancer. And so every time Lou went to the doctors, he would imagine that it was like Star Wars and he would zap all the cancer and he would see himself as very, very healthy. And today, after 9 months, he had no evidence of cancer. And it's been some years and he has stayed healthy. And so it's him seeing those light phasers shooting cancer cells and exploding them, he says, I knew what to do. And if I ever get cancer again, I'll just do the same thing. And the weapons are better today.
Yes, that's for sure. Oh my God. What an amazing story. So it's not visualization, it's not only imagining, kind of visualizing, it's also doing something, right, Linda? We needed to take action.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Both. Okay.
Yes. This is seek medical treatment.
Yes, right. Yeah, yes.
Really
Was this
important.
case. Yeah.
One of the studies that was most interesting to me because it really had some very specific results was that there were 134 patients undergoing cardiac surgery, and they gave them scripts to listen to of guided imagery. And what they found, and they had a control group that was not doing anything. And what they found was that the guided imagery decreased the length of hospital stays by 1.5 days, decreased stress and anxiety by 41.3%, decreased pain, improved sleep. It reduced pharmacy costs, like the direct pain medication, saving $288 per patient, and reduced the cost of the hospital procedure from an average of $11,700 in the control group to $9,700 in the experimental group. And so they had been given these recordings, and it really helps. And the hospital has incorporated that as part of their clinical care.
Wow.
Also during COVID, they found that it increases relaxation and boosts the patient's immune system against COVID-19. The guided imagery reduced pain, anxiety, heart rate, systolic blood pressure, and increased the oxygen saturation. So it's a very good, cost-effective complementary tool
Yes.
to use intervention.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
you asked about
Oh,
spiritual.
yes, right. Intuition guided imagery. That sounded interesting to me.
Yeah. Often when I'm leading people through guided imagery, and I have, I believe, 22 of these on my website and also a YouTube channel so people can go and listen. We introduce a, um, a guide, a spirit guide, who might offer a gift of something that you've always longed for. And this process helps to bypass that part of the brain that is the part that says, no, that's not possible. You can't do that. The critical part. And so it opens us up to our subconscious and helps us have this experience of oneness. And so they did this. They had in another study a group of people who were asked about their spiritual experiences, positive spiritual experiences, and then they created a guided imagery for that. And they also created a guided imagery that was meant to invoke stress.
Yeah.
And they studied the brain
Yes.
using, I believe, an MRI. And what they found was that when they were listening to the spiritual guided imagery, they felt an experience of oneness, and the parietal lobe part of the brain lit up. And when a stress producing guided imagery was introduced, that same part of the brain shut down. So there's this inverse relationship between stress and anxiety and spirituality. And so I think that's pretty powerful. In my book, I also give the example of Bill W., who is the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. And he had this vivid spiritual experience. and he imagined thousands and thousands of people getting sober and then helping other people get sober. And so this was a spiritual experience that he envisioned. And so that's just another example.
Yes. Oh my God, Linda, it's so wonderful to see that. The evidence for the interconnectedness of everything. Right? We often thinking about the physical reality being just, just physical matter, but much deeper than that. That the underlying reality that I call spiritual, it's always here and inviting us, right, to experience something new, something different, something, I wouldn't say even better, but something that we have never tried before. It's almost like seeing, because life is so abundant. Why just see one thing, one color, when we can see a full range of that color even, and then move to other colors?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
That's what it
yes.
sounds like. It's really, truly beautiful to see these different modalities. I'm always introduced to different kinds of ways of exploring healing and spirituality. And I do believe that it's guiding us to that same place, which they spoke earlier beautifully, love, so we can experience love.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
Isn't
agree. And then we can have deeper relationships
Yes.
with
Right.
others. And isn't
Right.
that what people want?
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah.
You know,
For
Many,
sure.
many people have this
Yeah.
deep yearning of their soul for something beyond what they're experiencing today, and they can have that.
Right. It always comes to me. I know it's one thing at a time. It's interesting when you follow your own intuition, when you listen to that voice that you also spoke of earlier, then it's always guiding me to see one part of the path at a time. And I remember having this vision about being human. It's an adventure. Is experiencing. That was kind of in contradiction with some spiritual teachers that I came across, which was really
Hmm.
about renouncing and not having any desires. So, and I was trying to make sense of that. So,
Ah.
if I don't have desires, so how can I desire love or more love or deeper relationships or even knowing God? I have to have desire in order. But then I changed the word, I guess, to longing, the longing to return to the essence of what we are, not even who we are. So I guess
Hmm.
it keeps changing and changing. Now it's more, my meditations, they are more, they take a form of visualization in a way, but I wish they couldn't in a sense. I'm trying to be in touch with that sees what is here. So what watches, what illumines this reality? So that's my guiding question, or that's what guides me when I close my eyes to meditate. I wanna be closer to that which sees, which gives this possibility for everything to appear
Hmm.
and be here, be experienced.
Yes.
I don't know if that's
Well,
clear,
and
but
yes, it's clear. And God is always creating, right?
yes,
You
yes.
know, if we believe in the Old Testament, God spoke the world into existence and created it, and the world is continually being created. And if we have God in us, and,
Mm,
and then then God wants us to always be creating too and appreciating.
mm. Ah, yeah. So in a way, we cannot separate the creator from creation. Is that that's the
That's how I
understanding?
see it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how I see it too, Linda. More and more, the more I try to see the creator, I come across creation. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, how do I? You can't separate God from its creation.
No, and it's
Um,
it's always being created, and so
yeah.
are we, and more is
Yes.
being revealed
Right.
every
How
moment.
amazing. How amazing, right? This experience called life. Yeah, what an adventure.
It is
if
an
if
adventure.
right. If we can be open to it,
Yes.
fully open to it. It's
I just
incredible.
like the good stuff.
Yes. Right. And that's the danger too, right? Just being attached to all only the good stuff. But then there's like today I got an email from one of my guests and she said that her brother was dying unexpectedly and from something that no one expected. He was young. That was like, I could feel her sadness, her pain. And then the only thing I could say is, I wish you inner peace and unconditional love for life.
Oh, that's
I
beautiful.
couldn't say anything else. I was
Hmm.
just like, I paused and I couldn't. Because that's in the end, that might be love too, right, Linda? Just being open to whatever happens, exactly the way it
That
happens,
is love.
isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Oh my God. So we almost at the end, time and I, we are not so good together. So the idea of human time. So let's see, I almost lost track here, but I have the ending questions for you. But before that, Linda, would you like to add anything else or add or read a passage in your book? And I do have some passages here that caught my attention for the first time we talked. I want to mention them afterward.
Oh, well, then do you have something you want me to read?
Oh my God. I don't have the book in front of me, but I can mention some of the messages that really resonated. The one that I shared earlier, love grows when we share it. You mentioned that in the book. I don't remember what page, that stayed with me. And then you all said beautifully, your dreams are God's whispers to your soul. That also stayed. And you said most of us have the inner voice that tells us to be practical and that our ideas are not possible. And that's something that most of us can relate to. So that kind of caught my attention in a sense of becoming aware of that voice that's limiting. So,
yes. And that love grows when we share. It relates to our experience of abundance. Also, so many of us feel that there's not enough to go around, that if someone else has something, then there's not enough for me. But if we share it, that there is enough. There is enough to go around. And there's more than enough.
Yes. That's wonderful to come from that place of abundance, which is what God is, isn't it? That's what love is.
Yes.
So it kind of implies, I guess, me wrestling the idea of desire is that the more I desire something, the more it indicates that I don't have it. It's almost like emphasizes scarcity. And it was a contradiction to look for, but it's not at the same time, right, Linda? It is a paradox, I guess.
Yes, it's important to focus on what we already have and to be grateful for it and what we want rather than seeing lack.
Yes.
A person might say, yes, I don't have enough money to pay this bill, this doctor's bill, perhaps. But I would encourage them not to focus on that, to focus instead on all the good that they have, on all the riches that they do have. I think the more you focus on something, the more you attract it to you.
Oh, yes. That's the law of attraction, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yes. That makes sense too. Another thing you said, which is within what we are talking about, I believe, you say, when we allow ourselves to take a magical trip to the future where anything is possible, we find meaning. We find the why for our lives. That also paused me for a while.
Yeah. So when we look longer term and we feel that meaning, that then motivates us and inspires us to set higher and more meaningful goals. And when you set higher and more meaningful goals, then you're more likely to persevere despite the obstacles and roadblocks and what other people say, think, and do. And so it's very important for all leaders to have that vision or create a shared vision with followers so that people feel engaged and want to contribute and are inspired and want to come to work and feel that they are moving towards something that is meaningful and is good for them.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. That's a beautiful message of leadership that you often don't hear, but I know some leaders, especially the ones that I speak of, I think the title is conscious leadership or even spiritual leadership.
Yes.
They do think that way. Yeah, that's the foundation, inspiration, working together toward a goal that can benefit everyone.
Right.
That's wonderful to hear from you too. So there are so many ways we can apply this practice. It's incredible in so many areas, as you mentioned before. In your book, of course, everything is outlined there. You have so many stories, researches, and you also have an assessment there. I saw it. And I mean, it's a fun book to just...
Well, thank you. And it's on... I reduced the price to $16.
Oh, you did?
Just for this week. So, so if your listeners want to go buy it, it's a good time. You can get it at Amazon.
Wonderful. That's really wonderful to know. The only observation that I have to make here is that this episode will be published in 2 to 3 weeks. It may be that
I'll keep it at that price tag.
Oh, you would? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'll make that note on the podcast note as well. Thank you, Linda. Wonderful. So we're almost at the end. And before we say goodbye for today, I want to thank you again for this beautiful open heart of yours and this beautiful desire. You see, I've tried not to use that word, but I will use it now. This longing to connect with others deeply. But first with yourself, you have done that beautiful work. So thank you so much for being you.
Oh, thank you very much.
And before we say goodbye for today, Linda, where's the best place to find more information about you and your book?
Envisionyourlife.coach.
Yes, and I have that. Are you also on social media? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube?
I am, yes.
Okay, so that's wonderful to know.
YouTube is also Envision Your Life.
The same title.
Mhm.
Okay, so
At
I'll have
Envision Your Life.
the website on your podcast page.
Okay,
And we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for your
Great.
presence today.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed talking with you.
The same here. Bye for now, Linda.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Linda Hogan and her work, please visit envisionyourlife.coach.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.